These days, stories of identity theft are all over the TV and in the news. You may even know someone who has become a victim. As a result, it's important to understand how to guard your personal information and how to react if identity theft does happen to you. You also need to know how to help protect teens from this growing phenomenon. Identity theft is classified as any trespass on another person's private information that is then used for personal gain. It's usually financial, but it can also happen when an individual poses as someone else to commit crimes or harass others. Literally, all an identity thief needs is enough information to become someone else, and then he can do whatever he wants. Do you think the odds are pretty slim that you or a family member would ever have your identity stolen? Think about this before you click Next. According to the National Cybersecurity Alliance, the likelihood of some form of identity theft happening to the average computer user is actually 70%. With 7 out of 10 people dealing with identity theft at some point in their lives, it's important to understand how identity theft works. And remember, this is not just a problem for adults. Teens are also at a substantial risk for identity theft. When it comes down to it, all a thief needs is your ID, bank information, or social security number. Even with just an email address or phone number, the Internet makes it easy to find a person's full name, address, and other information. Assess your own security by taking a look at this list and then clicking Next to go on with the lesson. When it comes to identity theft prevention, the most important thing to remember is that you should never give out your information to anyone over the Internet. Often, identity thieves use a technique called phishing that involves sending fake emails claiming to be from a bank or other organization you trust, asking you to write back with private information. Also, shred anything important you're going to throw away. ID thieves use another technique called dumpster diving, literally going through trash to find any kind of important personal information they can use for their own gain. Other ways to protect yourself from identity theft often come down to common sense. Don't carry your social security card around, and remind teens not to either, and consider taking safety measures like setting up a firewall on your home computer. Think about what ID thieves can use against you by looking at this question. When you're done, click Next to keep going with the lesson. Because identity theft isn't always a physical thing like an armed robbery, the only way to catch it is to be vigilant. Obviously, you should watch your bank and credit card statements closely for purchases you didn't make. Be wary of getting lots of pre-approved credit card offers, your credit being declined, or telemarketers contacting you often. You're probably already aware of how expensive medical care can be. But you should also remember that someone with access to your personal information is free to run up those bills on your behalf. With your information, thieves can go to the hospital, buy a car, or commit a crime, all while using your identity as a guise. The good news is that, if you do become a victim of identity theft, you aren't helpless. There are 4 steps you need to take immediately. First, Place a fraud alert on your credit reports so the thief can't open any new accounts in your name. Next, close the accounts you know or even think might have been compromised. It's better to play it safe than to be taken advantage of further. The third step is to file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, to help officials track down the thief. Finally, be sure to file a report with your local police so that they can be on the watch for identity theft in your community. Before we finish up the lesson, take a look at this question. When you're done, click Next to continue. Remember that it's increasingly common for kids to become the victim of ID theft, as their untarnished credit scores and lack of suspicion makes them easy targets. But now that you know what identity theft is, how it happens, and what to do if you become a victim, you can help teens and children avoid it too. In particular, make sure kids know to never give any kind of personal information to strangers they meet online. When it comes time for a teen to apply for a student or car loan, help the child check his or her credit first and make sure there are no questionable debts listed that could keep the loan from going through. And most importantly, communicate with teens about the dangers of identity theft, even for young people. Now that you know the facts about identity theft, you'll be prepared to confront it should you ever need to. And with all of this knowledge, you might just save a teen too. Remember, don't give someone else the chance to be you. That's your job. Here are some real-life examples of how the concepts discussed in this lesson could be used in a classroom, either as a teaching tool or an administrative aid.